Tom Brady named Sports Person of the Year for 2021. Do the guys have any issues with the GOAT taking that title? One guy in particular. Dame has been a Blazer for life, but could a trade be on the horizon? Tell you why we're asking that. And try to deny it all you want. Mac Jones and the Patriots are the hottest team in football. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Kevin Wilds. Nick, 7th straight win for the Patriots. I got to imagine they're going to go flying up your tiers this week. Have to imagine it.
Call Jenna. The committee reconvened yesterday for an emergency committee meeting to discuss that very point. Patriots should be revealed around 8:06 a.m. Eastern America. 8:06 is when I think the Patriots will be revealed on the tiers.
Stay tuned.
All right, we'll get to all that. We got to get to all this. A little Lakers, a little Celtics, the latest chapter in the NBA's most storied rivalry. We're going to call this chapter All Lakers. Dominated on both sides of the court, dominated in the paint, over half their points scored there, dominated in the win column. Much needed win for a Lakers team whose head coach, Frank Vogel, is on the hot seat right now. Vogel addressed the rumors that his job is on the line before the game. He said, though, he's not worried about his job security, that he does feel the support of Lakers management. He says that he hasn't had any discussions about his job security, that he is simply focused on the job. Meanwhile, Charles Barkley weighed in, had a lot to say last night before the game on what he thinks is ailing the Lakers. Take a listen.
For the first month of the season, y'all blame everything on Russell Westbrook for the Lakers putting all them old-ass geezers together, and y'all blame Westbrook. Now I hear y'all gonna fire Frank Vogel. Listen, Russ is learning. Frank Vogel is a terrific coach. Putting all them old-ass geezers together and just trying to blame other people, it ain't right and it ain't cool. Listen, Anthony Davis, you got to play better. I said on this first night, if the Lakers were going to be any good, it was all going to be on you. Has nothing to do with Russell, had nothing to do with LeBron and the rest of them old-ass geezers they put together out there. But now y'all done crossed the line because I really like Frank Vogel. And listen, it ain't his fault. But listen, in my opinion, I blame Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, you know I like you as a person, but you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. You're 27 years old. You're supposed to be in your prime. You're supposed to be one of the 5 best players in the world, up there with Giannis, Kevin Durant, and those guys. And you ain't holding up your end of the bargain. So now I hear y'all gonna fire the coach. That's total BS, man.
Can you imagine if Sir Charles was holding back? Broussard, do you agree with what Charles Barkley had to say?
Well, look, obviously he said a ton, Jenna. Let me boil it down to 2 things, his main points. Frank Vogel is not the problem with the Lakers, and Anthony Davis needs to play better. Yes, I agree. All right, he called Frank Vogel a terrific coach. I wouldn't go that far, and I do think that Tyronn Lue and Monty Williams, 2 guys that the Lakers considered hiring before Frank Vogel, I think they're better coaches than him. However, Vogel is a good coach, very good coach. He did a great job in Indiana. He couldn't win in Orlando, who has over the last decade. And then 2 years ago, he led the Lakers to the championship. All right, Frank Vogel was given the most volatile player in the league in Russell Westbrook. He was given the oldest roster in the league, as Charles so eloquently made clear. And his best player, LeBron James, has missed half the season. What are we talking about? Why are people panicking? All right? Be patient. All right? Frank Vogel is doing what he should be doing, which is experimenting with lineups, with rosters, or with rotations, with styles of play. And everything he's done is not defensible. And I know Nick will probably get to playing DeAndre Jordan, and I'm with Nick on that. You can question some things. But overall, the Lakers should not spend 1 ounce of energy thinking about getting rid of Frank Vogel right now. And Anthony Davis, Nick, I said it a week ago. He's got a #1 game and the #1 talent, but he's a #2 player in terms of his approach and his demeanor-wise. And I need to see more aggressive play from him. If he's capable, every single night.
Yep.
That's what Charles is talking about.
So I agree with you about Anthony Davis, Broussard. But here's the thing about Vogel. Doesn't matter if you don't think he's the problem. Doesn't matter if Barkley doesn't think he's the problem. Doesn't matter if I don't think he's the problem. It matters if LeBron thinks he's the problem. And LeBron gave a little press conference. He was asked about Frank Vogel. And he said a bunch of stuff. You know, Frank's a strong-minded guy. He's got a great coaching staff. We're a team that doesn't mind some adversity. To the point where one of my favorite blogs, Nick, Silver Screen and Roll SB Nation, they didn't know what to make of it. We had one headline that says LeBron James offers defensive criticism aimed at Frank Vogel after Lakers' slow start. And then in the podcast, LeBron's comments don't feel very supportive. And here's why. They weren't. If you have to question whether or not they were supportive, that means they weren't. And I treat LeBron talking about coaches just like I talk to my wife when I say I love you. Anything other than I love you too coming back is cause for concern. LeBron could have very easily said, you know what? It's a fair question, and Frank has gotten a lot of criticism. Frank is my guy. Frank's not going anywhere. He could have pulled, Nick, the Mike Tomlin USC rant out of his back pocket.
But they would be.
Frank's my guy. He's
Frank's
not going
not Phil
anywhere,
Jackson.
so stop asking. Little Nick Saban in there.
But wait a minute.
Stop asking.
Wait a minute.
He
Wait a
didn't.
minute.
So his seat is very, very high.
Of course. Yeah, okay, but hold on. Not only is Frank not Phil Jackson, he's also not Libby Wilde's Oscar winner extraordinaire and the wonderful mother and wife of Kevin Wildes. Love of your life. Like Wildes, I don't, this might be breaking news. You rightfully feel much more strongly about your wife than LeBron does about Frank Vogel. So you're asking him to lie. Now, he didn't crush Vogel, and because I also read Silver Screen and Roll, Anthony Irwin and company do a great job there. And they wrote in one of the pieces, you know when LeBron's out on a coach, he doesn't have to say it because you'll see it with his actions on the court. And by the way, historically, really only one coach LeBron has napalmed. Blatt, and he was correct. They fired Blatt, ended up winning the title. Everyone's like, oh, Ty Lue, you're going to go to Ty Lue. And now it turns out, oh, Ty Lue, one of the 5 best coaches in basketball, and within a playoff series, maybe the very best coach in basketball. So he was right about that. Now, I know LeBron was tepid at best about Spoelstra early, but that also was 11 years ago at this point. And Spoelstra was an unproven commodity. Riley was correct, obviously, for sticking with Spo, who's turned into a great coach. I am not blaming all or even the majority of the Lakers' issues on Vogel. But there is this weird space where folks want to act as if any criticism of Vogel is unfair. Well, then what's the head coach there for? If a team is underachieving with some very odd lineup decisions and some very odd rotations, and yes, when it does take you 20 games to realize something that I and the entirety of basketball watchers, including Steve Nash, who no one exactly is comparing to Red Auerbach, realized a year ago, some realized 2 years ago, that DeAndre Jordan is fossilized, there's going to be some criticism. And so Broussard, I viewed LeBron's comments on Vogel as fair because they were neither too hot nor too cold. It was, I'm not going to add fuel to the fire. I'm not going to put it out either, though, because Vogel should feel pressure. Now, on Anthony Davis, Broussard, Anthony Davis last year was 21-7. That can't happen. This year, he is 24-10. And he is better than he was last year. And he is more so as the year has evolved, shooting fewer threes, which is probably because he's shooting 19% from 3. And he's playing more minutes at center, as we all have demanded. So I also think right now it is because of his talent. Anthony Davis being the 10th best player in the world is underachieving. right? He needs to be in that top 7, top 6, maybe top 5, discussion with Steph, Durant, Giannis. I'm leaving somebody obvious out other than LeBron. My apologies. I'll think of him in a moment. And he needs to be in that sphere, in that echelon, and he hasn't played to that level. But I also think that some of the criticism of Anthony Davis by a guy like Barkley could be good for him. I think Barkley last year called him street clothes, and then the poor guy tried to play a playoff game with a torn groin. I think in direct response to Chuck, he's like, oh, you think I'm soft? I'll go out here on one leg. So I do think AD needs to be better. I do think LeBron needs to be more available. And I do think Vogel needs to be smarter with some obvious decisions. All of that is fair to me.
Yeah, and look, you hit it on the head, Nick, with LeBron's comments about Vogel. They were fair. And I think LeBron likes keeping heat on people. Wiles, he could have said what you asked him to say, and then Vogel would have been able to relax and all that. But that's not how LeBron works. Man. Look at all those teams he had in Cleveland his second go-round. He kept the fire on them. He doesn't mind it being uncomfortable in the locker room. He doesn't mind the head coach thinking, is LeBron got my back? He likes it. Keep you on edge. When he was in Cleveland, he only signed a 1-year deal every year just about, right? To keep their feet to the fire. David Griffin, don't relax. Go out here and get us the best roster you can. All right, Kevin Love, are you in? Are you out? Fit in, fit out, whatever. Keep Love uncomfortable. Okay, I gotta be at my best. LeBron does it. That's been his MO for years now. And I think that's what he was doing with Vogel. But you would know if he was out. And he's been in on Vogel the whole time. He hasn't championed him like, oh, this guy's an awesome coach, outstanding. We got the best guy for the job, all that. But he showed up for his opening press conference, right? Didn't say anything, but was there. That's support. When it comes to LeBron, that is support. And that's enough.
And more importantly, when they won the title, and LeBron did and I want my damn respect, he name-checked Frank as well. It was Pelinka, it was Frank, it was the organization, and then it was what most important. Right. No, but that's my point, Wilds. If he's out on a guy who just thinks he's along for the ride, he's not including him in it. So I don't think he's out on Vogel. Right. I just don't know, are you all the way in, all the way out? What about neither?
Pepper's yelling at us. Pepper,
we got
let's
another
go. We got to wrap this segment up. Keep you on your toes.
Go. Lakers back in action tomorrow in Memphis. Back talking Tampa Tom. The guys have any issues with him being named the sports person of the year? We'll find out next. And Kevin Wildes, I love you too, buddy. You don't even have Wednesday morning talk some Tom Brady. Announced last night, TV12 is Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year for 2021. Brady, who also won the award in 2005, was crowned for his Super Bowl 55 run and his pretty strong encore so far. Age just a number for the GOAT. That's what I say. Chris Broussard, Tom Brady winning SI's Sports Person of the Year is blank.
You can call this my application for Nick's Word Club, because here's where I'm going. It is inspiring for a quinquagenarian. Yes, a quinquagenarian, and that's what I am. That's someone in their 50s, all right? Now, Brady's close to being a quinquagenarian. He's a quagenarian, I think I said that right, in his 40s, and he starts the year off by leading a team that was 7-9, that hadn't made the playoffs in a dozen years, to the Super Bowl. And now he's ending the season as a 43-year-old. Let me throw that in. And he's ending the season as the front runner for the MVP award at 44 years old. So I got no problem with this. And in fact, Nick, I am inspired. I'm gonna be like Jenna. I'm going out and working out today. I'm getting back in the gym.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want to take shots at Sports Illustrated. Chris Mannix is there. I love him. Albert Breer is there. He's there. However, this feels a little lazy to me. If you wanted to make this fun, then give it to Brady and Gronk. They've done that many a time. Give it to teams or teammates. Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling won it when the Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series. We saw the entire Warriors team win it in 2018. Last year, 5 different people won it. Now, that was more about social and racial justice. But Gronk had the big Super Bowl. It's Gronk and Brady that came down to Tampa and changed everything. I'm sick of this Gronk erasure. So I feel like it would have been more fun. Certainly, the Sports Person of the Year party would have served better drinks if Gronk was one of the honorees than whatever nonsense Brady's going to make him serve. So I feel like Gronk got snubbed. So that's my answer. Gronk snubbed, Wilds.
All right, so my answer is that this is a historically bad call. Now, say what you will about print media, but this award matters. And it's been given out since 1954 when Roger Bannister won it. And Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. Congratulations. Somebody wins the Super Bowl every year. But what Ohtani did this year hadn't been done in 100 years. And if you want to make this award mean something, then you have to put it in some real context. Ohtani did something that hadn't been done in 100 years. He was unanimously won the MVP. Tom Brady didn't even win MVP of the NFL. And Ohtani pitched. Ohtani pitched. Yeah. So if someone is doing something so special that you can't contextualize what they've done without talking about Babe Ruth, they deserve the award. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. He's playing great this year. He's got 2,700 yards. He's got a bunch of touchdowns. He doesn't have 9 sacks. He doesn't have 10 tackles for losses like Ohtani's doing. So I think it's a historically horrible, bad call by Sports Illustrated. The only reason I'm being hard on Sports Illustrated is because I like this award. I like the relevance of it, but they got to get it right. So I expect them to reprint the issue.
Hey, you know who might win it next year, Kevin Wilds? MJ10. Who knows? Will Mac Jones' Patriots be at the top of Nick's NFL tiers after winning their 7th straight? The big reveal is next. Don't go anywhere. First things first.
How about this?
Here we go, guys. It's tier time. It's its favorite segment of the week. And didn't we always sort of know this is going to happen? Knicks, Chiefs, Wilds, Patriots on a collision course to perhaps the top of Nick's tiers? Yeah, we did. Both teams won this past week. Both teams getting hot at the right time. There's a lot going on all across the league heading into week 14. Nick, if you will, don't hold back. Show us your tiers.
Jenna, with full disclosure, I did not know that the Patriots were going to be on a collision course with the Chiefs. I never possibly imagined it. I still can't believe this hell world we live in. However, such is life. The committee convened. We have tiers for you. Announcement, though, and this will apply the rest of the season, is not a 32-team tiers. 31-team tiers. Texans, you're not going to see them anywhere. You know why? They've been eliminated from playoff contention. Once you're out of playoff contention, you're off the committee's radar entirely. These teams, some of you guys dropping off pretty soon, but all of you technically still alive. I wanted to drop the Vikings further for that pathetic loss. Broussard wants Seattle higher because they're still alive. They don't get named. Now let's move on to teams that are still up. Some of those still alive. All 31 teams are still alive. Broussard, even the Lions. Just let us in. We're banging on the door. Just let us in. Teams that would love to make the playoffs probably won't, but if they do, they'll just be happy to be there. By the way, that kind of sucks for the Browns and the Niners. We're entering week 14, and they're in the just let us in version of the tiers, but that's where they're at. All right, next group. Here we go. For this group of teams, first round exit. That's 4 AFC teams, none of whom I believe can win a playoff game. Sorry, Buffalo. Your embarrassment from Monday night will not be forgotten. I know the Ravens, 96 hours ago, had the best record in the conference. The injuries are too much. Lamar's play is too inconsistent. We know the issues with the Titans and the Steelers. Next group, please. Dangerous game. I love the ceilings of all 3 of these teams. I know the Bengals just played the Chargers, and the Chargers won in what looked like a blowout, but that was a weird game. It was 24 straight for the Chargers, then 22 straight for Cincy, then I think 19 straight for the... I think those teams are very even, and the committee, unlike me, doesn't hold biases or prejudices against, quarterbacks based on old takes. The committee's been impressed by Carson Wentz. I personally, Nick Wright speaking for me, still wouldn't trust him to watch my dog. But the committee says Carson Wentz, he's played well this year. The Colts are dangerous game. Next group, please. Fatal flaw group. Quarterback, coach, quarterback. These 3 teams all have gaudy records, and I know what you're thinking. You see the Patriots there. Say Nick. The committee really thinks the Patriots deserve to be on the same tier as the Cowboys, who they lost to.
Gotta be kidding.
The committee does. The committee cares about how you're playing right now. They've won 7 in a row. The committee respects the Patriots. However, no team with Mac Jones or Matt Stafford is winning a Super Bowl, and no team with Mike McCarthy is winning a Super Bowl. Sorry, those are the rules. Next group, please. Ratings bonanza. Same top 4, by the way. Maybe not in the same order, but the same top 4 as last week. Why? Because late into the year, there's not going to be quite as much movement. A lot of your season's been baked in. When I say ratings bonanza, this was last year's NFC Championship game on Fox. The committee believes this likely will be this year's NFC Championship game on Fox. And what could be Aaron Rodgers' final game ever for the Packers, if they were to lose, if they get there. Tom Brady trying to go back-to-back in a different uniform. It would be an absolute ratings bonanza. And I personally, don't reveal what's next, by the way, believe these are the 2 best teams in the NFC. Okay. So last week, we had the Chiefs at 2 and the Cardinals at 1. And there was a lot of nefarious allegations about the committee being afraid of an alleged curse, all these things. So the committee studied both of these 2 teams' games this week because they were neck and neck for the top spot. And the committee, by a 7-6 vote, installed the Chiefs as the top team. So there's Cardinals #1 contenders, Chiefs as the favorites. You might say, why? What? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing in the peanut gallery, sir. The Cardinals and the Chiefs were neck and neck going into last week's tiers. The Cardinals this week played an Andy Dalton-led team that had 4 Andy Dalton picks, and they won by 11. The Chiefs, meanwhile, played a red-hot Broncos team that in the last month had beaten Washington, who itself is red-hot, had beaten Dallas, but 30-0 lead against Dallas, and had beaten the Chargers. That's what the Broncos have done in the last month. I know that the right side of your screen would like to pretend the Broncos are some pathetic franchise. They had a winning record, and they were the hottest they'd been all year. The Chiefs led that game for 56 minutes, led that game by double digits, by multiple scores, I should say, for 30 minutes, and never trailed. That is what we call an impressive victory over a good opponent. The Cardinals had an okay 11-point victory against a bad opponent, so the Chiefs reinstalled as favorites. Now, Broussard, once upon a time, I didn't put the Cardinals as favorites, and you attacked the committee. Then the committee did put the Cardinals as favorites, and you attacked the committee. So I know there's no pleasing you, sir. I now have a small glimpse into the life it would be to be married to you. This is, what do you want from me? There's no pleasing you. I mean, my God. But so what do you think? What do you think? I mean, the committee's done everything you have asked. What do you think?
All right, Nick, it pains me to say this. I am going beyond attacking the committee. I think it's necessary. I'm calling for an all-out investigation of the committee. The committee clearly has an agenda. The committee is not objective. All right? The committee's agenda, Nick, is clearly whatever it takes to make the Chiefs look good. Whatever it takes to have the Chiefs at the top of the agenda, at the top of the tiers. That's the agenda, and it's flat out wrong, and I want an investigation. The reason they weren't on there last week is because the committee was frightened. The committee was afraid. The committee was terrified that there was actually a real live curse. All right? They were. And they didn't want the Chiefs to be #1 because they thought they would lose to their rival in Denver. And the proof of the fact that there's a curse, or they thought there was a curse, was you, sir. A week ago, what was your upset alert? What was your upset alert? It was the #1 team in the tiers, the Arizona Cardinals, going down to that woe-begone team you called the Chicago Bears. Andy Dalton and all. You thought they'd win because you thought there was a curse. And now that the Cardinals win, in impressive fashion, I might add, 4 picks of Andy Dalton. Kyler, they get healthy. Kyler Murray's back, 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins is back. And they drop? They only drop because now you feel good. The committee knows there's no curse. we can now put the Chiefs back on top. I wanted Pep. I want an investigation.
Wow.
I'm serious.
Okay. Okay. So,
Dusty,
just a
all
couple
of you
quick
guys.
points
So
of order. First point. I don't know if anyone's picked up on this. They probably haven't because I'm not as self-aggrandizing as Broussard is, so I don't just throw it in your guys' faces. But my upset alert is a first cousin of Broussard's Bud list. It's to inspire motivation for a team, sharpen their blade a bit before a game where they could become upset. That's first point. Second point is, yeah, I understand some of the squeamishness about Kansas City because, you know, their quarterback this week only threw for 123 yards against an average deep. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Kyler Murray who threw for 123 yards. But of course, we won't talk about that. No, you don't talk about Kyler throwing for 123. No, but Mahomes throws for 180, and it's it's a travesty. But go ahead, Wilds. Wilds, your issue? While Broussard's asking for congressional investigations?
You know what my issue is. Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball. I don't want the Patriots to move all the way up to the top. Do you know why? And this makes the Patriots super dangerous for the rest of the league. We are at the same time the #1 team in the AFC, slated for a first-round bye, and underdogs, and nobody believes in us. It is a potent, explosive combination of actually being the best team and having no one believe in you. It's going to be a long postseason. But here's why I just want to move us up just one tier. We do not belong on the same tier as the Cowboys and the Rams. We have won 7 games in a row. The Cowboys have won 2 of their last 5. The Rams have won 1 of their last 4, and it was against Jacksonville. The Patriots have the best record in the AFC. The Patriots have the best defense in the entire NFL. The Patriots have the best coach in the history of organized sports. And the Patriots will be the most rested team. Why? Because we are on a bye this week, and Mac Jones' arm is super fresh. Belichick put it on ice, literally. Don't worry, buddy. We're going to give you 2 weeks.
That's so pathetic.
So he's going to come off guns blazing against the Colts. And I know the argument is, oh, Wilds. But the Cowboys beat the Patriots head-to-head. First of all, no, they didn't. It was a moral victory in overtime. And second of all, if we're talking about teams beating teams head-to-head, well, then where are the Chargers? Where are the Titans? Where are the Bills and where are the Ravens, who all beat the Chiefs head-to-head? So I just want to move up one to ratings bonanza. And I'm not talking about the... Hold on 1 second. I'm not talking about the NFC ratings bonanza. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, my God. I'm talking about the Super Bowl, my friend. What is the most likely, according to the New York Times, what is the most likely Super Bowl outcome? You were talking about ratings bonanza.
According to whom?
Oh, the great lady, the New York Times, my friend. Paper of record. Patriots Bucks. Ratings bonanza.
Listen,
they're going to start making new TVs so many people want to watch that.
Where America goes for their sports analytics is the New York Times. The New York Times, I'd love to see their algorithm on this one. They haven't had a legitimate sports section since they let Broussard go off for greener pastures.
I was just going to say.
They were great. Once upon a time, they were great, Broussard. But instead, they started investing more in the Metro pages than the sports section. Hey, let me pull up the old... What does the Wall Street Journal say is going to happen in this year's NBA Finals, Wilds? I'm very interested to find out. That's first point. Second point is... It's very interesting to me that despite the Rams and Cowboys struggles as of late and the Patriots surging, that if you check, they all have something in common. 4 losses, 4 losses, 4 losses. So while the tiers are not a standings, this idea that the Patriots have been far and away better than those teams over the bulk of the season is not true. Now, why are the teams like the Ravens and the Titans not held in as high regard? Because of injuries, my friend. Because when you lose in the Ravens situation, half your secondary, and in the Titans situation, your best player to injuries. The committee factors that in. Now, pedantic, childish power rankings might not. They'll be like, oh, they're 8-4, they're 8-4, they have to be good. But that's why you need the committee, Jenna, to sift through the maw and give you the real.
Well, let's stay with the Patriots just a little bit longer. As this team, you mentioned Mac Jones' arm was on ice the entire game, so instead they grounded and pounded their way to a win Monday night. Does Belichick trust his rookie quarterback, Mac Jones? Is that what we saw this weekend, Monday? Jones making some history Monday night against the Bills, completing just 2 passes in a windy win up in Buffalo. But if you're a visual gal like myself and you want to see what that looks like, well, take a look. Here is the breakdown of his night from Next Gen Stats. Not a ton to look at.
One miss.
Won't take you long to let this all sink in. Nick, did the game plan show a lack of trust by Belichick towards Mac Jones? Looking at this.
Of course it did. Of course it did. It's the fewest passes thrown in 40 years. It was bad weather. It wasn't the worst weather in an NFL game that's been played in 40 years. Wilds, I have a couple questions for you. And keep in mind, look at the screen, sir. We are in the no bull zone. If you lie here, Credible is out. They're going to leave the show.
Brutal.
So we have a lot riding on your honesty here, pal. All right?
Okay.
When you saw how the Patriots approached the first quarter, playing into the wind, at some point, did you think, oh, neither team's going to throw it all when they're going into the wind? Like, it must not be possible.
100%.
Did that at least go through your mind?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
And then you saw Josh Allen throw.
I also saw you take quarters off. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. As the game evolved, did you think they were, as Peyton and Eli and the regular broadcast crew opined, did you think, oh, they're setting up the Bills for the ultimate okey-doke deep shot play action? Were you waiting for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Not only that,
and
but
final
I tweeted
question.
it, my friend. You knew that. Good lawyering by you.
Yeah. Final question. Were you nervous in the fourth quarter when the Bills had the ball in the red zone twice that the Patriots might lose that game?
Yes, I was. Slightly nervous.
Okay. Then what are we talking about? The Patriots could have lost if Josh Allen makes a throw 6 inches better to Stephon Diggs. They scored 1 touchdown. They failed on their final 8 third downs, and they had the fewest passing attempts in 40 years. Of course, that shows a lack of faith in Mac Jones, Wilds. Of course.
Okay, so here's the thing, Broussard. I'm also nervous when I'm in an airplane and it just... I'm like, oh! But you know why? Because I'm not the pilot. The pilot's not nervous. The pilot has a total plan. In fact, the pilot was like, guess what it is? Rough weather, some heavy winds. The pilot knew exactly what to do. And we've got the best pilot leading the Patriots of all time in Bill Belichick. Agreed. And I know people want to say, like, no, Wilds. He only threw the ball 3 times. That's got to be an indictment on him. You know what? The indictment is 7 wins in a row. If you want activity, hop on the Peloton. That's not what we're about in New England Patriots football. We're about winning games. If Belichick sees a plan, he's like, you know what? Turns out if we all played blindfolded, the other team will be so confused. You know what he would do? Play the whole game blindfolded. By any means necessary, Belichick is going to win. And everyone on the team understands it. So if the baby goat is saying, you know what? Looks like I only need to pass the ball 3 times, then that's what the baby goat is going to do, Broussard. I had no issue with it whatsoever.
I am with you, Wilds. Nick, to try to make this an indictment of MJ10, it's beneath you. Now, you've been killing Mac Jones all season long on this show when privately, deep down inside, Wilds and I both know you believe in him. And Bill Belichick believes in him too. All right, Bill Belichick did
No, he
what was
doesn't.
necessary to win the game. Buffalo has the best pass defense in the league, and they've been susceptible and vulnerable to the run. So what's he do? I got some 2 young, hot running backs. I'm going to run it down their throat. Oh, they're not stopping us? I'm going to keep running it down their throat. And look, Mac Jones does not have the cannon arm that Josh Allen has. I'll give you that. But you act like Josh Allen was slinging it like a champion in this game Monday night. He wasn't. He completed 50% of his passes, his worst in 2 years. All right, he was throwing for less than 5 yards per attempt, his worst this whole season. Stop it with the Josh Allen was doing it. Why couldn't Mac Jones do it? Josh Allen didn't do it well, and Josh Allen lost.
Thank you.
Case closed. Belichick believes
That's
in
a no
Mac.
bull zone.
Hey, Patriots 9-4. Understood.